Now, a hard or a soft Brexit? It is the debate still dominating the headlines in Britain as the country's politicians continue to furiously argue over the merits of quitting the EU altogether, with few ties, or negotiating a new partnership with the EU. The British Secretary of State for exiting the EU, David Davies, has said lower-skilled workers are likely to require work permits to enter the UK, as the Prime Minister Theresa May says negotiations will begin by the end of March. Just what, though, is likely to be the impact on businesses, particularly small and medium ones? Well, France 24's Hervé Amaric and Guy Wattin report.
Charlie Mullins is Britain's plumbing tycoon who takes pride in employing the best talent in Europe, a firm believer that Britain should remain in the EU. Mullins took the government to court over the legality of the Brexit process, and he won. The ruling was a major blow to the Prime Minister.
Parliament voted us into the European in 1972, and surely it should be them to vote us out. I'm not a politician, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a businessman with common sense. And, you know, I decided to get involved with various other business people to make sure we need clarity, we need certainty.
A fast-growing company, Pimlico Plumbers, have 350 employees. Charlie fears a massive skills shortage if the free movement of workers comes to an end. Charlie's son, Scott, manages the call centre, which deals with 2,000 calls a week. Scott wants to choose his workers on merit rather than nationality.
There should be no preferences or anything, or nothing should be hidden. You know, if you're good at what you do, if you're the best plumber in Europe, we want you. You know, and it doesn't matter where you come from.
The hospitality sector too is concerned about the government's attempt to put British workers first, while unemployment is at a record low, less than 5%. The Georgian house has been in Serena's family since the 1850s, but only 8 of a staff of 40 are British, despite best efforts to attract more.
We offer a good rate of pay, whether you're British or EU, that makes no difference to us. And still, there just aren't the people that we need to work here that are British born. And so we rely on these European workers to fuel and grow our businesses.
In London, 35% of staff in restaurants and hotels come from continental Europe, like Gabi, originally from Romania.
I'm concerned because I came only about a year ago, and maybe I'm not too long here, you know, to have a permanent work permit.
In 2 years' time, Britain's doors may be all but closed for unskilled workers.
You would have to get a work permit. You would only be able to get such a permit if the job was one that couldn't be fulfilled domestically, as is the case for people coming from other parts of the world. What we want to end is Britain being a country of colonisation, of importing cheap labour from poor countries.
London can compete with Berlin for the title of Europe's tech capital because it has some of its best talent, like the members of the French tech network of companies, a driving force in the economy. They meet to discuss the impact of a hard Brexit and how recruiting an EU worker may soon become more difficult.
There are quite a few people leaving for Barcelona at the moment, purely for business reasons. But if tomorrow it becomes increasingly difficult to hire foreign staff, yes, we will have to adapt.
Easy Roommate helps people in 24 countries find a house share.
We came to London in order to employ European and international staff. If, by leaving the EU and toughening its recruitment laws, the UK prevents us from hiring the people we need, I am sure that another European capital will be happy to have us.
Almost 500,000 jobs were created last year in the UK. 95% of them were filled by foreign workers, but some EU nationals have already experienced job discrimination.
I have friends who work in the digital sector. They were clearly told that for the next staff jobs, British nationals would be preferred.
The health service, too, relies heavily on overseas workers. 26% of doctors in the UK are non-British. The government wants to increase the number of medical students significantly.
We ought to train our own. We've got people willing to be trained, and at last we're changing the system because of Brexit that we will train our own instead of relying on people from abroad.
Some foreign doctors, like Farah Jamel, are demanding clarity about the future. A Belgian national. She has worked as a GP here for 9 years. She sent a letter of complaint to the Prime Minister, signed by over 100 foreign colleagues.
We were very upset with the suggestion that we might be disposable or we are not really going to be required in a few years, having committed many years of our lives and our profession to this country. There's going to come a point where people like me are going to say, that's it, I've had enough, I'm off.
Theresa May faces a difficult challenge. She has vowed to curb immigration, but she needs to avoid hurting the economy.
Yeah, report there from the UK on Brexit.